change the things around you. Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, when you gonna hear his revelation? Let it move inside of you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Infinite Perspectives, where voices become vision and where every meaningful conversation reminds us that behind every accomplishment, there's always a story. I am Michelle Diamond, the voice, author, PR strategist, founder of Next Level Promotion, and co-founder and steward of Infinite Perspectives. Linda?
Hi there. Thank you, Michelle. I am LB. I am Linda Boston, founder of Peer Incorporated, author, actress, storyteller, community builder, and co-founder and steward of Infinite Perspectives. Tonight is a special night. We're stepping into a conversation that reaches far beyond auditions, because every one of us at some point has wondered, am I enough? Whether we're stepping onto a stage, walking into a boardroom, launching a business, or simply trying to find our place in the world. There comes a moment when fear whispers louder than purpose. So tonight, we explore what happens when courage answers back.
Ooh, wow. Thank you, Linda. Absolutely. I agree. And sometimes we admire the performance without ever considering the person. We celebrate success without understanding the years of uncertainty that come before it. We see the confidence without recognizing the fears that had to be overcome. Tonight, we move beyond auditions, beyond the entertainment industry, and into something every one of us understands: the courage to be seen. Because perhaps the greatest role we'll ever play is becoming ourselves. Tonight, Infinite Perspectives is proudly brought to you by Peer Incorporated, Next Level Promotion, a division of Infinite Perspectives, Moniker Enterprises, Carlotta Cole the brand, and Unlimited Networks Property Management.
Yes, and we're grateful for every one of them. Tonight, we're honored to welcome two individuals whose work has helped shape the journeys of countless actors, not simply by preparing them for auditions, but by helping them rediscover confidence together. They built one of Atlanta's original and most respected audition taping services while expanding their mission through coaching, career consultation, workshops, and the image process as well. But perhaps what stood out to us most was one simple sentence. Our mission is to dispel fear. Please join us in welcoming Matthew Cornwell and Brooke Jaye Taylor, co-owners of Get Taped, one of the best taping services in Atlanta. Matt and Brooke, welcome to Infinite Perspectives. Oh my goodness, I need to go back and redo that. Hold on.
You're so funny.
Our mission is to dispel fear. Please join us in welcoming Matthew Cornwell and Brooke Jaye Taylor, co-owners of Get Taped. Matt and Brooke, welcome to Infinite Perspectives.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. And what an amazing intro.
I know.
That was beautiful. That was so beautifully put.
You guys are amazing. Thank you. Oh my goodness. So, to delve right in, Matt and Brooke, before the work, before Get Taped, before coaching, before helping thousands of actors, there were simply Matt and Brooke. Tell us about those earlier chapters. Who were you before the work found you?
Mm.
That's a really good
Well,
question.
I love your story of when you started becoming an actress, right? It was out of the
Out of the womb.
yes.
Mhm.
I didn't want to steal that from you.
No, it's fine. It was definitely out of the womb.
Yeah. So Brooke, I think you felt the calling much earlier than I did, or at least started to heed the calling a lot
Yeah.
earlier than I did.
I graduated with a BFA from the University of Florida. I also went to New York City for a brief stint, even though New York City ate me up. And in fact, it ate me up so big that I gave up this profession. I decided not to pursue it until 2005 when I felt
Yeah.
strong pull to get back in, and I did some theater, and then I came straight to Atlanta where I started to pursue the television film commercial market here. Prior to me meeting this gent over here, I was taping actors outside of my or inside of my condo that I was living, and then also taping actors at the agency where I was represented. Turns out Matt was doing the same thing, well, at least at the agency. So when we did get married, we both had that experience. We both knew what the market needed as far as raising the bar for self-tapes in Atlanta. So in 2010, we opened our company called Get Taped.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I was an engineer in a former life.
Yes,
That's
sir.
my weird life story. I went to Duke for undergrad, which then led me to Georgia Tech here in Atlanta for grad school. So I got my master's in mechanical engineering before making the very intelligent decision to give that up to
Yes.
become an actor. Much to the dismay of like parents and family who were like, well, you're on such a good track in life, and now you're in this very uncertain world of acting. But I found myself when I was in corporate America, so this would be around 2002, 2003. I spent all day at work daydreaming about what I would do after work, whether I was making my own videos or going to class or working on material from class. And so I felt that tug slowly over my life. It goes all the way back to like middle school, but I didn't start really listening to that dream or that tug until high school, until a little bit into college. But then it really started to take off in those same years that Brooke was about to move to Atlanta, and then our paths crossed.
Yeah.
And we started dating in 07. We got engaged in 09. In fact, exactly this day we got engaged. July 29th, 2009, we got engaged.
Oh, wow. Happy anniversary. Look, happy dating anniversary. I love that. That is amazing. Congratulations.
That's wonderful. That's one perfect timing. Today is perfect timing.
I know. Something about those numbers.
Yes, powerful. So
Yeah.
when you think back, what first drew each of you towards storytelling? Was it acting itself, or was it something deeper than that?
Ooh.
That's a
Yeah, I'll jump in because I can point to somewhere in the spring of I think 1994. I was sitting in a second run theater, like a dollar theater that my mom had to drive me to because I wasn't old enough to drive yet. And I hilariously enough, I was watching the movie Ace Ventura: Pet Detective starring Jim Carrey. And just I just knew him as the guy from In Living Color, that I'd seen, and
Right.
he hadn't done any real big movies yet, but I knew him, so that's why I went and saw the movie. And that's when the fire was really lit, or that flame was stoked. There was probably something there that I hadn't recognized yet, but I didn't even know what it was. Right, I just knew that as I watched this thing happen on screen, it was like I didn't know that was possible, and there was no real concrete dream. It was just like, in fact, my biggest dream at that point was just to do like a talent show. And I think to kind of answer the question, like for introverts, which I consider myself an introvert, or at least certainly growing up, I was textbook, socially awkward, always in my shell. And so that it wasn't so much the art form, it was the idea that I could express myself through a medium like this in a way that people might laugh, people might feel something. And I think for a lot of people, the initial tug is a little bit I don't know where that's coming from. I'm just sort of, it's a siren call, and you're going after it, not knowing what you're getting yourself into. And then I think the why can kind of crystallize later. Certainly it did for me. You know, I would say that I didn't know why I was pursuing it for a very long time.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
So I grew up in a household, my mother being an actress, and so it was very familiar. We did theater when we were younger, but it was, you know, these little plays. But I remember being terrified of being on stage, and I decided I wasn't going to be in the production of, I think it was Mary Poppins. So I sat with my dad in the audience, and then the moment the number came on that I was in, I was like, I've got to go. So I ran up on stage, I did the thing. But throughout all of my years, I found performing in any way, shape, or form. I was a competitive roller skater. So to me, there was performance in that. I was a cheerleader.
Yes.
There's performance in that. So to me, performance was a way for me to show my humanity to others, but also to entertain. I was always just an entertainer, but so yeah, that was kind of how I got into it. I just loved entertaining.
I love that. And with that being said, we know that every meaningful career usually begins with some form of curiosity, right? Because we're like, this seems interesting. I might want to explore that. Can each of you remember a moment when you realized this isn't just something I enjoy, this is part of who I am?
That's a really good one, because it's not a secret that this industry, the on-camera industry, television and film, is a very complicated, sometimes very dark industry. And so sometimes that moment can be obscured when you try to seek it out, because we might be initially in search of fame or success, you know, monetary success. And that can cloud those types of moments. I think for me, I feel like I accidentally booked my first film where I had one 6-word sentence to say. And man, I was so terrified to be on set that day. And it happened to be like the last day of filming, which was a good day to book. It was a golf film about the golfer Bobby Jones, and it starred Jim Caviezel, who he had just played Jesus Christ in The Passion, and he was becoming a big deal. And so my scene is, I'm a college buddy of his when he's playing this golfer in his young years. So I'm sitting at a table, a bunch of people have lines, and I just have this 6-word sentence. And I'm glad I didn't have more, because like that was such a scary event, to be on this big budget set with a big name actor at the time, and when that camera was pointed at me, and it was that giant camera,
Right.
and despite all those nerves and all that anxiety, it just felt like, wow, like the engineering background, I'm so completely fascinated by all the departments. The person who's adjusting a light, the person who's got the microphone hanging over you, of course everybody on the camera team. I'm just so fascinated by it, and just felt like, yes, I need more of this. And I say I kind of accidentally booked that, because then I didn't book any films for a while. not Hollywood films, but then that's why I was doing a lot of my own stuff. I was seeking this out, searching, but I think that moment really made me go, oh, like I can do like legitimate work. It's not just the stuff I'm doing at home with my buddies, but I can actually do this for real. And I think that gave me the encouragement to really start to pursue this as a professional career. What about you, Brooke?
Yeah, it's interesting, because the question, I think, actually is, I'm still trying to figure it out. Maybe was it the moment that I knew that this is what I was supposed to do. I'm trying.
Yes, that this is who I am. Yeah,
this is who I am. It's interesting. The one thing that comes to my mind is my thesis project in college. I did the show Burn This. It's a 3-person show, and I remember thinking, this is the hardest thing I've had to do, because basically I was the lead. I had never been the lead of anything. Usually I was a supporting character. And I think the way that I was able to persevere, some of the doubts of some of the other students, my colleagues, and even my director was like, you really want to do this? And I was like, I'm gonna do it. So I think the perseverance of actually accomplishing something, like the moment you do something and you're like, I did this. This is something that I did, even if it's a 5K or a half marathon. The things that you complete, you're like, I did this, and I didn't die.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So looking back now, what do you think your younger selves understood about courage that perhaps even surprised you later?
Ooh.
My younger self was fearless. I mean,
Love
totally.
it.
Like, I would not. You dared me to do anything, and I would do it.
Mhm.
I think life started to chip away at my daring spirit. I'm still adventurous, but I remember one moment in college where I came out just not literally guns blazing, but I took this role and I was like, I'm going to do anything, like just what I want to do. And I remember doing that at the very beginning of my college career. And then they kind of stripped away all of my, kind of risk taking. And yet that was the thing that they talked about in my exit of BFA program, was how risky I was. I took a lot of risks. And I think to this day I still do, because improv is risky, and that is where I thrive.
Yeah, you're good at that.
I love that.
My heartbeat is.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that's such an interesting question, because I think in your 20s or whenever you're really starting to pursue life, whatever that journey is,
mhm.
that's when the naivete can be very helpful, right? I think that sort of disappears into that definition of what is courage and what is just naivete. And I think what I mean by that is, when I was 21 and you're reading about how hard the industry is, and you're like, but I'll be one of those lucky ones, right? Like that's sort of not knowing so much can actually help you in those early days, because it can give you this sort of blind focus or ambition that really is that courage, because you don't know yet that that this is supposed to be hard, that you're supposed to fear casting directors, or you're supposed to fear. And of course, I'm mocking that because we shouldn't. And it takes a long time to kind of come full circle back to that realization of like, oh, what have I been so scared of all this time? And so I think there is that youthful sort of innocence that we all had at some point when we're sort of pursuing a creative endeavor, that it becomes nostalgic. Like, wow, there was that fearlessness because you didn't know that you're supposed to fear anything.
A tad of delusional in you.
Yeah, a little bit of delusion, which can be
So true. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. So with the delusions and all, we know sometimes, many people may discover their purpose through success. Others may discover purpose through their struggles, right? And what I'd like to ask is, how did your earliest experiences prepare you for the work you're doing today?
Yes.
Well, it's interesting because, the work that we're doing today, which is to dispel fear, that's our mission. It's strange. I also taught high school for a little bit, and to know that these kids have the fearlessness, they have the risk taking that is just so raw. And I remember thinking, these kids, if they only knew what they had. And I started seeing just the genuineness of human beings, of like, do you even know that you have that quality within you, and you're either hiding it or you're not even aware of it? So to me, I feel like I started seeing people after I got out of my New York City, gotten eaten up there. So I was like, I came out of it seeing differently.
Yeah, no one wants to while you're in sort of one of the valleys of life, no one wants to hear that, like, oh, this is preparing you for the next thing. Like, thanks a lot, but I'm in the valley. But I read a book years ago when I was in that sort of early struggle phase of lots of no's, lots of waiting for the first booking or in the next booking. And it was called Anti-Fragile. And it's this idea that there's really no good word for this concept, which is something that when you expose it to stress, it actually becomes stronger. Like your muscles, right? When you work out, you tear those muscles down. and they build back stronger. Your immune system, you expose it to a virus, it fights it off, and it builds back stronger. And artists, we are uniquely built, or at least we develop this over time, which is that resilience through all of that, facing the no's and the not yets and the eventualities, and
Yes.
that builds a thick skin. But at the same time, we have to always remember to remain sort of vulnerable. So it's this really interesting mix of I'm wearing it on my sleeve, but I do have that thick skin, and going through that in my 20s here in Atlanta, I think it was extremely helpful because it allows you to walk alongside people who now 20 years later, as we have become sort of the keepers of that wisdom and trying to dispel fear, we know, right? We know those stages that actors are in. We know that sort of impossible dream, and when there doesn't seem to be a good answer for what's next or how to get there. And so I think a lot of building that resilience in our early lives just prepares us to then sort of be that person, that shoulder to cry on, that sometimes the quiet listener and sometimes the active teacher that is helping people to deal with it at whatever phase they are in.
Absolutely, I concur. And sometimes the greatest performance we'll ever give is having the courage to stop performing for everyone else. Authenticity, as Brooke mentioned earlier, is the role no one else can play for us.
Absolutely. So now,
1 second, we had some comments coming in. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you real quick. CS99, hi, beautiful. Thank you for tuning in with us. Oh, wow. One of our greatest supporters met this lovely lady when we went to Selma, and she constantly supports us. We call her our sister, and she said mission is to dispel fear. Oh, I love that. So she reiterated what you stated earlier. Thank you again. And we have many more that came in. Some CS also said, bummer, she missed the intro, and hello, ladies. And we have another
that was a good thing.
that's coming in, and everyone is just loving you guys right now. So lots of hearts here in the comments section. So just wanted to share that with you. Okay, Linda, I apologize.
Okay, that's fine. We love it when people comment and ask questions. That's what moves the message through. So now when we look at the turning point for you, every meaningful journey has a turning point. What was happening in your lives and within the industry that led you to create Get Taped?
The turning point truly was the industry handing over this need to us. We simply stepped in and provided a service for a need. In early 2000, like in 2010, when we officially became Get Taped, yes, there were people that were taping beforehand, but it became a need because in the Southeast, unlike LA or even New York, where even though, yes, you're traveling to the various casting offices to audition, ours are Southeastern. So we have New Orleans, we have Florida, we have North Carolina, we have, Wilmington, and that's pretty far away. So we were driving all over to these places. And there was Mark Fincannon, who we will say is the man who made self-taping the thing that is now what it is. He just realized, like, why are we making these people drive all the way up to Wilmington when we're putting them on tape and then we're sending a tape in to the producers? This and also a gentleman, rest in peace, Robert Smith, was he devastatingly died in a car accident on the way to a callback in Wilmington. And I think that really did kind of put a need to make sure that we were safe, and then also that we weren't spending our entire day driving to Wilmington and back, not longer. So we were just open to filling that need.
Yeah, and the other catalyst for us forming the business was, as Brooke mentioned, we were both taping at our respective agencies. So when Mark first sort of started shepherding this new idea of hey, why don't we just have the agents put some actors on tape and then send the tapes off? And we were actually mailing these little physical
Yes,
tapes
we were.
that you put into the cameras.
Mhm.
And so all the agencies then created little rooms with a camera to start doing this on behalf of their actors to kind of be that bridge to casting. Well, then as it became more and more accepted, more and more projects, and then our tax incentive brought more and more work here, suddenly all the agents were like, this is a drain on our resources.
We don't have the time
Yeah, we
to
can't.
even submit you.
Yeah, we can't be doing this. And so then the agents started slowly phasing out that service, saying, hey, sorry, actors, you're going to have to figure it out on your own now. And some people did, like us, like Brooke and I, sort of, we knew what to do because we've been doing it. And so then people kind of knew that because we were the faces at their agencies that were taping. And so they started coming to us. And then we kind of just realized, especially right after we got married, like, I think we need to just start doing this for real. And that's when we established like the time frame for an audition, the price, and that's where it really became an actual business. But really the shortest answer to the question is we were responding to a need, and we saw that opportunity. And the one thing is we say we're horrible business people because we've never been ambitious about the business. It's always been for us a ministry and this response to what we saw. So yeah, we've always sort of felt like we're not the ones leading the business, someone else.
You know, it's interesting that you say that because casting directors were having people come into their offices as well.
Yeah.
And the pandemic hit, and now everybody said, let's upload. Let's just have a get tape service or whomever else they can find and upload. Let's teach them how to upload, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. The mission. You describe your mission as dispelling fear. That language is incredibly intentional. Why fear? What were you seeing that convinced you both this was the work we were meant to do?
Yeah, great question.
I think we got the phrase from our mentor, Sam Christensen, who the image process that you sort of so lovingly put into the intro that you had, and that one of the links is showing up on the bottom of the screen. But that was a phrase he would use, and it just felt so right when he said it. Like, oh, and he too had such an empathetic heart. He was a big softie, and he had been in the industry forever. He was the casting director for MASH back in the day,
Right.
And so his mission became to just doing that with actors. And as a cast director, he couldn't do it. It was too late. By the time the actor got in the room, the fear had already been gripping them for a long time, and so he was seeing that. And I think likewise for us running the taping service, when we were just taping, we're seeing actors too late, and really all we can do is provide the safest space, the most encouraging space for that actor
Most
to
judgmental face.
Yes. For a while, we had a sign that said "judgment-free zone" as they walked.
And then I think it's like someone else, like it's a gym's slogan.
Yeah.
I think it's like Planet Fitness's
yeah,
slogan.
it's like
or
a judgment-free zone.
Right.
But as a taping service, there's only so much we can do, and not to discount that, right? That we can put someone at ease, make them feel good about the work they've done, and maybe elevate that work a little bit by being an encourager. But it's through then the more sort of engaging services of like the classes and the workshops that we can now catch that student or that actor when they're in a space of curiosity, and we can start educating them and start empowering them so that when they step into that audition space, they feel less of that fear, more of that confidence. So that's sort of how the business shifted. And with Sam, with that phrase, we just like, we have to use that, especially after he passed away and we sort of inherited his process. It felt like also an honoring of him.
But truly, the dispelling the fear comes from not knowing who you are and how you're seen, because you're walking through this world with it's not even a mask, right? You're walking through this world, but you truly don't have confidence a lot of the time. You don't have the ability to say, this is who I am truthfully where you are publicly self-accepting. Self-acceptance is pushes that fear away. So that is what the image process brings to people, is an understanding of how people see you, but also brings you to a delightful place of self-acceptance, to where you can publicly, unabashedly, unashamed, just trust that who you are is who you were created to be, and we need you.
And you're enough.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been through the process with you, and I'm grateful for that. It gave me a foundation. It's probably one of the best and most rewarding classes that I've ever taken as a quote unquote seasoned actor, actor. And knowing that so many different kinds of people are in there. They're not all actors that are taking the class. You've got board members, you got some of everybody. And fear often disguises itself, Sometimes it looks like perfectionism, which sometimes comparison. I try not to do that. Sometimes procrastination, I'm guilty of. What forms of fear do you encounter most often in acting?
Ooh, good question.
Disbelief that they're actually being seen. They don't know that they're seen. So it's fear of actually being seen, but also not being seen. It's kind of like a dual.
Yeah, and I'll approach it from this standpoint, because I think it's such a fascinating question.
Yeah, it is.
For good reasons, an actor looks at the opportunity in front of them, this paid job, and especially if it's a big Hollywood movie that's in town, big Hollywood star or director, and there's this gap between where they are and that goal, and even if they've been doing it for a while, sometimes because they've been doing it for a while and they understand that there's this gap, and what I mean is the gap in knowledge, the gap between today and when the booking might happen, that lack of knowledge gets filled with fear, because they think there's some sort of path forward, direct path to that success point of booking the job, and then I'll multiply this over every audition where I haven't figured it out. What is the answer? And so that sort of lack of control, that lack of knowledge, all that can fill it for a lot of people is the fear that I'm going to choose the wrong thing. My performance, which I know is art, and therefore, because it's art, there's choices to be made. And what if I don't make the right choice? And what if I'm not the right, what did they like mustaches today? They might like them tomorrow, but maybe they don't like them today.
Right.
And it goes back to what Brooke was sort of touching on. And once we sort of become comfortable with ourselves, a lot of that fear goes away. There's, of course, the politics and the business of the industry that can still cause, frustration. But to take away that fear of it's me, I'm the problem. Isn't that a Taylor Swift song?
Yes, it is.
And focusing so much like something is wrong with me. And to Brooke's point about the facade, a lot of times we're curating ourselves on social media or even in the grocery store when we meet somebody. Like, you ever been in the grocery store and you're wearing your inside pants to an outside place, and then you see someone that you didn't think you'd see, and you're like, oh, I should have dressed like a normal person.
It always happens that way.
Right. That day that you think, oh, I can get away with sweatpants and whatever. And so then, and that's just proof. And that's, of course, understandable, but it sort of represents that bigger problem, which is we're always we think we're curating and perfecting this image that we're presenting to casting, if we're an actor. But even to your point, Linda, people who take the process that are in the business world, every time you get up in front of the staff meeting, or you have to present, or you're at a conference and have to talk to people you've never talked to before, we think we're putting forward this perfect version, or at least we hope we're putting forward that perfect version. And what gets revealed so often in the workshop, regardless of your age or experience in life, is this invitation to not just accept how people see you, to embrace it, and then to realize, like, there's so much less work to do now. I can just show up, because now I know what it feels like to be seen. And that's ultimately at the root of every problem that we experience as humans is we don't feel like we're being seen or understood. And when we take away a lot of that barrier and confusion, it creates a sense of relief
And freedom.
Yeah, and freedom in so
Mhm.
many actors and
Yeah.
non-actors as well.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
You've worked with beginners and seasoned professionals, as Linda also mentioned, how many other people you may see in the studio itself.
Mhm.
Would you say that fear and self doubt ever truly disappear, or do they simply change shape?
Mm.
I would say change shape.
Mhm.
Thank you for offering up that specificity. Because even though we are running this, image process, we've been involved. I took it in 2010. So I was
2011.
in 2011, sorry,
Yeah.
2011. And I was very engaged in it. It was transformative for me. But like even today, having an audition, I allowed the noise of all of the other things to start to cloud my purpose, which because the noise is there, I'm fearful of the fact that I can't get rid of the noise. So
Mm.
the insecurities come in because I should be able to get rid of this noise. And literal noise of people talking in the lobby, but also the noise inside my head of like, did I wear the right shirt? Am I, should I be sitting like this? Should I, like all of the things that I think we try to perfect. And the moment I realized, like, just have fun. But it took a while for
Yeah.
me to get there.
Yeah.
I think probably what happens as the fear shifts and changes throughout our life is hopefully we're building the tools, whether it's through something like the image process or other tools. Some people go to therapy and develop a tool set there where we can more quickly and on our own get ourselves back on track, push the fear away. I think in the beginning, we really do need some counsel, some inspiration, either from a mentor or a trusted person in our life. That's why you need those safe spaces and those safe people to encourage and to lift up and to reveal some of those truths to you. And then hopefully over time, as you equip yourself, then you can self-monitor. And Brooke and I were there for each other, but even when we're not there physically for each other in that audition or on set, we have developed those tools to be able to kind of whip ourselves back into shape and realize like, oh, that's not the truth. The truth is I'm enough. The truth is I've done the work and I can rest in that.
We have a quick way to do that, which is to remind ourselves of who we are.
Yeah.
Sometimes if we don't know who we are, then you can't get grounded.
Right.
Absolutely.
And
And I'm not talking about who we are as the character. I'm talking about who we are as a human.
as a human being. And that's the work that we have to do within. That's an intuitive process.
Yes.
Can you remember someone who walked through your doors carrying enormous uncertainty and left seeing themselves?
Linda Boston. No,
Yes.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, other than me.
I love it.
Well, it's interesting. Over the years, it's now become a repeated refrain of sometimes it's somebody who doesn't necessarily take our image process, but oftentimes it is the image process that the person comes in with this heavy baggage, and we do it in 4 successive days, Friday through Monday, and even though the process was initially designed actually just to get better headshots for actors, it was about literal image. Because Sam, as a casting director, was most concerned with your photo not representing the experience that I have of you once you come in and start talking to me and start moving around, or in today's parlance, the self-tape where I see you, on a video that you've submitted. So that's where it started. It's grown to so much more, and to the point where in the last workshop we did, we had a gentleman on the 3rd day. So this is before we've even given results, before we've actually tried to connect all the dots. He was already like, my wife has noticed the difference. And for some people, it feels like if you want to make a scriptural reference, like the scales falling off the eyes, like suddenly being able to
A weight being lifted.
Yeah, a weight being
countenance changing.
Yeah, like realizing that you've got that bag of bricks on your shoulder, and all you need to do is drop it. And so we watch these transformations sometimes in the span of just those 4 days, where people go. Sometimes on that fourth day, they're just like, oh, for the first time. And people say this, and they mean it. For the first time, I feel seen. Like like never knowing what that feeling actually was, and so seeing like, wow. Now back to the previous question, that's going to have to be reminded, because the moment they leave the workshop, the real world starts to pull at that attention and fill our head with noise. So we've been really thankful to see that transformation of coming in with fear, leaving with a whole new sense of self over and over again. And that's what makes it worth it. That's what fulfills us, is when we see it, that transformation happen in someone else.
Yeah.
And you find
Deliverance happened. You know, it's happened to me prior to the workshop. But like when you see someone delivered from something alive, it is pretty powerful.
Yeah. And I think I've asked you in the past, at what point do you feel you have to take the class more than once? You have to go back and take it again. And I think an answer that you gave me is that you can tell maybe about 4 or 5 years later, I need to revisit that class that I took a while.
Yeah. I mean, I did take it twice because the first time impacted me so much that when I felt like I was alive again, I wanted to see if the results were different, because I felt different. And, you know, some people go through a marriage, or they had a baby, or they got divorced, or they've moved, you know, to the other side of the country, and they just feel like they're a different person. That's sometimes when people take it, or 10 years later, where they just feel like they've matured into a different stage of their life. We never, you know, say never take it again, but we also say be cautious about taking it again. Like, why do you want to take it again?
Why do you want to take it? Yeah. Because fear rarely tells us the truth. It tells us a story that keeps us from discovering who we might become.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we definitely applaud you guys and give you kudos for everything that you're doing. And we're talking about the work that goes into everything. Many people assume acting is simply about memorizing lines, but you both have spent many years helping people prepare for something much deeper. What do you wish the public understood about the profession?
Oh, now that's a good one.
You really are asking deep questions.
I love
and I really do too. That we discuss this a lot of you, everyone who's out there has something about them that the world needs to experience. And it's about experiencing humanity. It's not about experiencing, you got every word right. It's about experiencing the humanity coming through, so that the person who is watching, who is observing, feels like they can, that they understand humanity that much more. Whether it's a behavior or whether it's, you know, like you go watch action movies. I'm not going to go sling a sword, but I really like watching people do it, because then I feel like I know how it feels. So we're connected through storytelling. And if we don't remove those barriers of it just being a, you know, checklist of, okay, I got that line right. Okay, I got that line right. It's the heart that we need to memorize. It's not the words.
Yes.
And I would the only thing I would say that is along those same lines is we call them muggles, which is a reference to the Harry Potter series, where, you know, the non-actors of the world, that they don't understand. And every actor has plenty of family and friends who aren't in the industry, who sort of furrow their eyebrows and like, wait,
You do what?
you do how many auditions? Like, and you don't get them? What? And it's so confusing, this choice. And unfortunately, well, some of, not to harp on this too much, but a lot of that is fear. Like they think about that, and it just causes fear in them. Like, I could never. How do you do that? It just seems like such a scary proposition for non-actors. But I think that reminder that that this is a noble profession, it's kind of what Brooke was saying. I mean, why is it we went and saw the Odyssey this morning at 7:15 in an IMAX theater because every screening is sold out, and we had to get up at dawn to go see this. And it's like, you know, no human could live their life. I mean, imagine going a week with no art, no form of art whatsoever. No paintings, no beautiful architecture, no music, no dance, no theater, no improv,
Pretty
no stand-up,
Podcasts.
right? No podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything, even sports
art.
is all about story.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And artists, unfortunately, get sort of relegated to some sort of lower status of society than, let's say, doctors.
Frivolity.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah, that fun thing
Mhm.
you do. Oh, when are you going to get a real job?
Yeah, right.
I would love for the average person to be
I love
reminded
that. Thank
of
you.
how much they rely on art to get them through even a single day.
Mhm.
They turn on the
Yes.
radio and their jam comes on the radio and it lifts their spirits. Or they go home.
Gaming.
Yeah.
Even
Oh yeah. Even
gaming.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so
Yes.
much art in gaming.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Mhm.
that gets me fired up because it is funny to see how dismissive the average person can be of art. It's why, unfortunately, when it comes to politics, you know, the arts programs are the first things to get cut at school. Arts and
Yes.
physical education,
Yeah.
which have been proven time and time again that both physical education and art is what makes you a better math person, a better science person.
Yeah, all of
Yes.
that.
Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for elaborating and breaking it down, putting it in layman's terms, because to our partner, Felicia Simone, who just threw hearts up there, we placed it on the screen earlier. Thank you for joining us and supporting. We just had this discussion talking about Linda herself when we went to Tucker Middle, and she came and spoke with the children and basically told them how important art was and how art is in everything that they do. And you brought it up and it just came full circle when she described art and math and in English, and the kids were just like, wow, really? And it is such an important piece that we have to, you know, emphasize, because a lot of people are not privy to that information. I don't know why.
Yeah, they don't put the two and two together. They have a tendency to want to separate those things. When you look at history class, that's acting.
Yeah.
You have to remember those characters from history. You
There
know,
you go.
math and music. It's all of that.
Yes.
That's a whole nother conversation.
We could go off on a tangent on this.
Multiple intelligences, and Howard Gardner tried to tell everybody that's what it was. Your audience ranges from brand new actors to professionals who've worked for decades. Yet many are still searching for what they call the code.
Ew.
Do you believe there is a code, or is that one of the myths you're helping people to let go of?
I think there is a code behind there's a code, but then the truth is behind it. But like this code is transparent. It's not even really a thing, but the code is being yourself. And people behind, but the pursuing of it, that everyone looks for the code of, like, if I get this headshot, if I, you know, talk to this many, if I network, if I do this, that, and the other, this code. But really, if they're not themselves behind it, then all of these other things, just the code doesn't work. So truly, the core of it all is if you can find your own human, like who you are, and relax and just be yourself, things will come so much easier because it's effortless. You don't want to watch someone do the work, and the work, you know, is done off camera. And then the moment you come on camera, just let it go. And a lot of people don't
keep pouring.
go.
Keep pouring the knowledge, Brooke.
Well, you know, we teach classes, and we truly love improv because it opens people up to understanding that there's freedom to be had, and so many things are so rigid. We feel like the rules are there, and there's no rules. You know, who made the rules? It's fear.
Yeah,
I love it.
I don't have much to say other than what Brooke said.
Great.
We concur.
And but I'll say that what is hard is when an actor comes to us who is doing everything right on paper, right?
Yeah.
And yet they come to us with those big eyes going, please tell me what the code is. And that's where it's like, it's that hard truth of just keep doing it right. It becomes the persistence. It's a war of attrition. It's, how long, balancing your why with with your resources. If my why is to become rich and famous, then, that's going to be really tough to manage your time, your money, your passion, because that may never happen. It probably won't statistically happen. If it's to find artistic fulfillment in some way, well, you can find that. And sometimes it needs a recalibration, because maybe it's not in Hollywood. Maybe it's on a YouTube channel. Maybe it's on an Instagram or a TikTok or in the written form. And sometimes people need to crack the code of their own life by realizing that, I just needed to readjust my why. Like my why was off, and it really wasn't serving me. Now that I know what my why is, I actually have my path, and I don't need to look for a secret code anymore.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, one of the things we admired was your commitment to removing those misinformation. In an age where advice is everywhere, how can someone learn to recognize wisdom instead of simply consuming opinions?
Ooh, that's deep.
I would jump in with, because just recently someone was talking to me about, I've been putting, because Brooke doesn't enjoy being the face of the videos that we put out, so I tend to be that face. And I started it in COVID in 2020, and I was committed both in our newsletter and in my videos. I never said the word pandemic. I never said the word COVID. I wanted it to be a positive spin on things, because there's plenty of sources out there. If you want negative spin, spun information, opinions and politics, and I'm like, that's not my corner of the internet. My corner of the internet is just, I'm going to meet you where you're at and hopefully inspire and lift you up a little bit more. And which is not always an easy thing to keep doing after so long. But and in the beginning, you don't get a lot of feedback when you start putting yourself out there on social media. But like even just recently, I had somebody really compliment the stuff we're putting out there, and how did they put it? That they could just tell that I was authentic, that Brooke was authentic. I think it was at a preview.
Yeah.
Someone stayed on after. It was a Zoom call, and after everyone went off, this one young lady stayed on, and she's like, I just want to say that I can tell that you all really care about what you're talking about, that you're being truthful, that you're not trying to actually sell something. Even though you're selling something, you're not trying to sell something. Right. And I think we're such good judgments of character. If we can sort of pull back the own wool from our eyes of, because I have dollar signs or, Hollywood fame in my eyes, I might be more willing to just believe something, even though my gut is telling me this sounds too good to be true. Because there's so many scams. There's so many people who are just looking for clicks and likes. And it can be, on the one hand, hard to discern. But if you go back to your gut of like, would I have dinner with this person? Would I, if I had run into them at a coffee shop, would I sit down with them, or would I probably find an excuse? And so even through the internet, I think we can discern personality and intent and someone's heart. And even though we might be looking for that quick fix or that easy answer, if we take that moment to stop and actually ask that inside of us, like, but what am I getting? What's the vibe I'm actually getting from them? That can be a really good guide for us.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's some people out there that don't have that that radar, that they just want to follow whoever someone else is following. And sadly, they might learn expensive lesson, but a lot of times you might need to, what we talked about earlier, you might need to have a situation where you realize, and hopefully you don't get ripped off or anything, but hopefully you realize these aren't your people.
Yeah.
Like, where's your tribe?
Mhm.
Let's.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh, look,
Yeah.
wisdom
We
is flowing in.
isn't it? Isn't it? We've talked about the image process already, but and the Sam Christensen journey that you all have been into. And I don't know if many people know what happened, what made you, what drew you to continue the work created by Sam Christensen, and how it has changed the way you help people discover who they are.
So when I took it in 2011, I was searching for more of the image of like, funny girls wear curly hair, or that colored blue was really ugly on you, or whatever. It was truly, I didn't know what I was getting into. Got into it by way of a friend of mine who just said, take this class. And I'm like, yes, I'm up. But when I was filling out some of the early, we have to do just a tiny bit of work, answer some questions beforehand. And I was on that website, and my mom and dad happened to be in town. And my mom just looked at the website, and she's like, Sam Christensen, and just started like getting viscerally affected. I'm like, oh no, like, is he a charlatan? Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
That was best. It was her and my dad's best friend in college. I never knew this. I didn't know.
No.
So I just knowing that piece of information, I didn't tell him until afterwards. And of course, he had the same visceral experience, projectile tears, and it was just really neat to see that. I felt like my sister actually, when she was born, he came to visit her. So he had been a part of my family without me even knowing it. So when he asked us in 2016 if we would take over at least the Southeastern market to franchise, it was a no-brainer. He was family, and we just felt really honored as well as equipped to do it in all of the walks of life that we had together. He's the Sam, I am the Ken, organizational person. So, but once Sam passed, we did have that conversation with Ken, his business partner, of what do we do? Do we continue? It's a scary thing to do without him, because he is the face of the process. And since we had been trained under him, we said, well, this work is too good to not. Let's just see what happens. And they wanted to take it online somehow. And then the pandemic happened, and everything happened to have to go online. And so we figured it out. But all the while, Ken was trying to create a program to where you could just, even in person, you can take this through a online course. So all of your data is stored in a database in the program. He'd been working towards that. And on our inaugural try of this program was the weekend that he ended up passing away. So it was so meaningful to us that he, with his condition, stuck around long enough to be able to set us up for success.
For the legacy. Yeah.
Yes.
And they are big shoes to fill. We are the only ones in the world that are doing this process. And yet, because this is an online program, we can reach the world.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did that answer your question, Linda?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And I knew some of the answers to it, but I want you to share the connection, because you're connected to him deeply, ancestrally now.
Yeah.
And going back to the fear, like any new endeavor, when Sam first asked us, my default mode is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
That's huge.
I don't know if I'm prepared for that, equipped for that, ready for, like, what is the responsibility, Sam? At the same time, though, like you're saying, this connection that we had, it certainly wasn't a no. It was like, yes, we're very interested, and then kind of like fingers crossed that we'll be equipped. And it became a real lesson in sort of that trust of don't lead with fear. It's okay to have some questions, but trying to even just take that word and manipulate the word out of your vocabulary. And because fear and curiosity can be closely related. Just one is going to stop you cold and start causing, physiological changes in you as you let the fear grip you. Whereas curiosity, which is still rooted in, I don't know the answer. I'm just searching, for it, as opposed to fear freezing me. If we can start to listen to that a little bit more, then when suddenly we're faced with not only training, but then Sam passes away suddenly and unexpectedly, and that creating a new sense of fear of like, what do we do? But then again, trying to trust the journey that we were on. It kind of felt almost like it was predestined.
What a powerful realization to have. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes. One of the things we often say here at Infinite Perspectives is that perspective has the power to change a life. After working with so many people over the years, how has this work changed your own perspective?
I would build upon the last thing I said, which is the word curious has made its way into my vocabulary so much more, more and more each year. And I do want to give some credit to a friend of ours. His name is Joe Town, and he does a lot of work on mindset, and that word is very pervasive in his own vocabulary. And it was one of those things that, hearing that, it's like, wow, that's such a more healthy way of approaching life. Not only inviting the unknown, almost craving the unknown, because on the other side of that is knowledge, new experiences. And, the older I get, the more in my ways I get set, and it gets harder to invite that curiosity and that newness. And so for me, I would say it's something around that, the idea that trying to invite more curiosity, embrace that in my life.
Yeah. And I think for me, my perspective changed. I described this to one of my friends a while ago, where I feel like my life was always sitting in a small plot of grass. I got very familiar with each blade of grass, very familiar with each blade of grass. Until I was able to actually look up, because I was no longer living in shame or feeling like I wasn't good enough, to where I could actually raise my head and saw like greenery everywhere and colors galore, where my perspective is, I feel like I see things more clearly. I see people in a beautiful way, where, a lot of times it is that forgiveness, without even knowing someone. It's like they're having a rough day. Like, that's where they're coming from, or trying to understand where someone is coming from. People don't do that a lot. And looking people in the eye is not a thing anymore. So being able to lift my head from that blade of grass that I'm not really familiar with, it has changed my perspective.
Yeah. If somebody watching tonight has been allowing fear and compassion or rejection to define how they see themselves, what perspective would you want to offer them?
A new one?
I know.
That sounds awful.
It does.
Sounds really.
Folks, as much as we talk about fear here, they want to hang on to it.
Yeah. Well, because sometimes people's identity is in that fear.
Yeah.
Trying to find your identity, because your identity isn't in this industry. We talk about a lot. If you are trying to place your identity in what this industry can give you, that's an abusive relationship, and you must put that into perspective.
I would say, to try to give you a nice bumper sticker quote, like, someone is looking for you, and not like creepy, but like as an actor, like someone is looking for Linda's story, someone is looking for Brooke's story. And if the actor, through fear, keeps trying to figure out what is wanted, like, who do you want me to be today? Who do you want me to be today? Then you're going to miss out possibly. And this is not to stoke the fear, right? This is to try to empower someone to stop trying so hard to be all things to all people. and instead realize like, no, the person you are, the person that woke up this morning and looked in the mirror and went, oh gosh, really?
Mhm.
Right? Who was bored with themselves, who was only looking for flaws, but all that stuff that makes you up, someone's looking for that right now. And so if you distract yourself with that fear of becoming all things to all people, you're gonna dilute yourself so much, and the thing that people are in love with and that people are looking for may not show up in its full brightness. And you know, it's a lot of the themes we've been talking about by resting in who you are, which is so hard to do, so easy to say, so hard to do. But if anybody listening could even just start to at least embrace that concept and get curious about that concept that someone's looking for me. And like that feels kind of nice. Like there's someone out there who cannot wait to find my headshot, to see my audition tape, and
to see my take on something that another person has written.
Yeah, and to be like, and them to go, wow, that is what I've been looking for this role or for this project. You know, that's a healthier way of sort of embracing this idea of our own uniqueness, and that it may not be today, right? It may not be this audition, but that if we stay true to ourselves, and not focus so much on, because like it's the same thing as dating. If you were to go on 5 dates in a row with 5 different people, and if you're going to manipulate your own personality to entice each of them differently, that's exhausting. You know, and then you have to remember who you were to each person. Like if you got a second date with each one, you'd be like, oh no, I gotta keep doing that. It's so much easier to just go, hey, this is me.
Yeah.
You know, I got broccoli in my teeth. Get over it.
It's so true. I love that. And you know, sometimes we spend years auditioning for rooms, right? That were never even meant to define our worth. And the moment we stop performing for acceptance is often the moment we finally become free. And
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
I just appreciate that you guys dived in and just shared everything from A to Z and why people should go within, because everything comes from the inside. It's not focusing on what's on the exterior. So we know that success can be measured in many ways: bookings, awards, recognition. But I imagine your definition has evolved. How do each of you define impact today?
Yeah.
Impact. Gosh, I feel like impact is on offer every moment if you are if you're aware, if you're awake, to impact someone just by saying hi or but I feel like, you know, you kind of, every time award season comes around, you're like, okay, I know this is what I was going to say. Okay. And I make sure. But like there becomes this written, like overall arching, like but meanwhile, like, why can't we just be impacted by, like a lot of times we don't even want to be impacted by other people because it's an inconvenience. So, you know, when I think of the word impact, I sense that kind of collision of two forces coming together, but it doesn't have to be, antithesis. It can be like a coming together. Like Matt has impacted me so much since I met him in 2007 that every day he impacts me. So if I allow it, right, I could be like walking through my day like this, and not even let him. So I think it's really, really about opening yourself up and not being scared, because you know, this world, like Matt said, someone is looking for that piece of you to just be you. And
not to sound morbid, but certainly, you know, I've been joking recently about hitting a midlife crisis. But you do hit a phase in life where you start to think about mortality, but I think as far as it relates to this discussion, I started to recalibrate my idea of success and impact. I like that word a lot, but more so of like what people will say, like if you think about, if you do the mental exercise of what would people say about you at your funeral,
Mm.
and if it starts to light you up with what I hope they'd say this, but if you can reasonably guarantee that people would say, the things that you want them to say, then you're on the right path, right? Then your impact is current, and it is something that you can stand behind, and I think it's something you can cultivate. Whereas, if I was still blinded by dollar signs and having a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, I wouldn't have made the same decisions, and I certainly wouldn't be on this podcast right now, because Linda would not have responded to myself and Brooke, and it would not have led to these types of conversations, because I would have been
Right.
distracted by, how does this benefit me? And
I just saw you like twirling your
yes, my mustache. Yes.
Sorry, go ahead and finish.
So impact is for me is more so of thinking about, trying to think outside and look back at myself and say, what, and sometimes you get the actual feedback, YouTube comments, you get people who are bold enough to say to your face that impact you've had on them, and to try to really accept that boldly and be like, thank you for that.
Without saying, well, thank you. But,
no. Not always reflecting, but accepting it, going, that's good feedback. That's good information. I'm going to, very personally, I'm going to give that to the man upstairs. I'm not going to let that rest too much on me. And because that's who's guiding me, and trying to just keep that compass pointed in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was gonna add that so I have this tattoo, this mustache tattoo. And one of the reasons, the main reason why I got this is because when I die in my casket, assuming that I am appropriately looking, I'm not like mauled by a bear, I want this because I want people to know that like life is too good, life is too fun. Like, don't burn me. Like, let's all enjoy it. So that's a little.
I love it. I love
No,
it.
I love it. I love it too. So that makes me wonder, are there students, as they succeed, is there a moment where you all think back, this is exactly why we do this? Can you share a moment where you look at something that you've molded and shaped with a student's success and say, that's why we do this?
I don't know if I can pinpoint something, but I can definitely say that every time we do a workshop, a Sam Christensen image process workshop, we receive from the entire group the thankfulness of everyone giving of themselves and being available. And when you get a group of people who say thank you, it's a wonderful thing.
I'll give two quick examples. One, this woman Meg, who had a good career already, and she started on Broadway as a dancer, and she ended up moving down here doing TV and film. So she had a nice resume. Brooke had actually done her demo reel and been on many big sets. And after she took the workshop, she gets on set and she sends us a message saying, guys, for the first time, I know why I'm here. And it was like, that was one of those like, what a revelation. What a moment of fear being ripped away and being replaced with the sense of peace.
Not imposter syndrome.
Yeah, no imposter syndrome anymore. And so that was like a pinpoint moment for us of like, this is why we're doing it. And then someone that, Linda, you may have run into at Get Taped, Tom Key, who is a fixture of the Atlanta theater scene and also a picture of humility. Because when he first walked through our doors, I was not aware of who he was. And he came in as just a curious, a person, because he was stepping into a new phase of his career of being in front of a camera instead of being on a stage. And flash forward, he takes the workshop, and every time I see Tom, like there is this like unspoken joy, and there's a connection between him and us of just like it. It unlocks things in people, and which is why Brooke said, pretty much every time we go through the workshop, because we have so many of these relationships where we can look at those fellow graduates and just sort of, it's like a secret society, but not in a weird way, where it's like, oh yeah, you were given the code,
that code again.
but again, the code being almost this paradox of like, there's no code.
Right.
It was, you were always the beautiful person you are, and you now see it. And that's what's so beautiful about it, right? Is when Linda sees herself the way I see her, the way other people see her, and I see her accepting that, like that is just the most beautiful thing. And it takes away anything in the room that was blocking us from having a connection.
Yeah.
So whether it's a professional meeting or a podcast, or whether it's just two people hanging out, it removes something from that is blocking us from actually connecting. And so we're thankful that we get to see that a lot.
I love it. Well, CS99 says, one of the sound bites I'm taking away from this is not to dilute myself. Yes, indeed. Indeed. And with that, I'll follow up and say, when people leave Get Taped, what do you hope they carry with them long after the audition is over?
A sense of I wouldn't say accomplishment, because that sounds like it's based on something, but I would say confidence, like a sense of confidence of knowing that they did what they came to do. They did what they set out to do, and left a piece of them with us. Yeah.
I'll steal your metaphor, Brooke, which is a lot of actors come in with that laser focus of like that blade of grass that Brooke was talking about.
Yeah.
And so if they can leave with their head held a little higher, either because of the sense of accomplishment that allows them to release that and now start to sort of take in the world around them, or whether it's that we encouraged them and built them up such that they felt better about their abilities, better about their chances, better about who they are than when they walked in. So, in short, I would love it if people felt like they could hold their head a little higher when they walked away, feeling like, wow, I can't wait to come back there. And a lot of people do when they come for the first time, they'll be like, wow, this place just feels nice. They can't put their finger on it. And we're like, I don't know, is it the paint? Is it the, like
colors?
The energy.
The energy. Exactly. That's because real success isn't helping someone become someone else. It's helping them trust who they've been all along.
So true, Linda. Like she said, hit it on the nose.
That is their takeaway.
Yeah, that's great.
I love that. Well, Matt and Brooke, here at Infinite Perspectives, we often say becoming isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you've always been beneath everything that asks you to forget. How has this journey changed each of you? Who have Matt and Brooke become because of this work?
Becoming.
I think I don't know if you'll agree with this, Brooke, but I think we've become more comfortable with being a resource that people look to. And I think as we kind of talked about in the beginning, Get Taped sort of was a reaction to the needs of the industry. We weren't proactively trying to build a business. We were reacting to what our friends were asking us for, and things just kind of snowballed from there. And then it just kind of made sense to start doing classes because people kept asking us about it. And we taught before, and it had been years since we had taught, and so all of it just felt like an organic building. And so then at certain points we turn and look back and go, wow,
Are we qualified?
What happened? How did we get here? How is it built to this? But I think we're becoming more comfortable with our place in this market, because we'll have like our agent who will reinforce that people listen to you, and sometimes we're like, really? Yeah. Oh, okay, that's a burden. But I think we're becoming more and more comfortable carrying that, whatever the size of that burden is, whatever our audience is. That I would say that's would be my answer is just becoming more comfortable with that burden of being a voice in the industry.
Yeah. Something that comes to mind is there's this old couple that anyway, they come to our church and they hadn't been in a while, and their names are Ron and Rhonda. Very sweet. Aww. And I went up to Rhonda, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and I said, I just want you to know that us people would call you and Ron relationship goals. And I think for me, for us, I would hope that we are becoming relationship goals to other people.
Oh,
Yeah, oh, that's so
I love
sweet.
it. I love it. Absolutely. The chemistry, the authenticity here. Absolutely. Look, we're going to frame it, box it, and ship it out.
Right, right. So when people hear the name Get Tape years from now, what do you hope they remember? Decades from now, what do you hope?
A place that helped them to dispel their fear. Yeah.
Yes.
Judgment-free zone, a safe haven.
Yeah.
Place.
Love that.
Yeah. In a dark industry, I would just
Mhm.
hope that feels like looking into it, like if not looking into a light, like I'm going towards the light. But that it would be something bright, that just hearing it is like
Yeah, I remember.
That perks someone up, that makes
Yeah.
them have a fond memory or a nostalgic memory.
It'll be like, I remember when Brooke and Mark, this wonderful couple came together.
You know what? You guys are hilarious. I love this. Oh my goodness. So beyond the business, beyond the classes, and beyond the auditions, what legacy do you hope your lives leave behind?
Legacy.
I'll jump in because there's a metaphor. I used to golf. I don't golf anymore, but there's a protocol in golf. It's a courtesy towards other golfers and to the golf course itself, which is oftentimes if your ball hits the green, it leaves a little tiny indentation, and that can mess up someone else's putt, right? If it happens to be in their line. So the courtesy is you fix your ball mark and one more. Because if everyone fixed their own ball mark plus one other, then the green would always be in a perfect condition. And I think it's such a simple yet profound metaphor, which is I hope that in my life, the legacy I leave is that, and collectively, I think as a business, but certainly personally, that I didn't just focus on my own ball mark, that I was always committed towards, fixing one more. Leaving it better than you found it, that sort of mentality.
Yeah. I mean, I can't steal that one, but I definitely agree with it. I think the legacy that I would hope that Brooke leaves behind is a role model of being able to take risks and not be afraid. Yeah.
Beautiful. We like to do a little fun, break it up before we wrap it up. Our final perspectives. Let's close with a few final perspectives.
Oh, that's fine.
Short reflections, whatever comes to mind first. What's one myth about the acting industry you wish would disappear forever?
You have to be young.
Yeah. And you have to be thin.
Right. Okay, how about this one? Complete the sentence. The actor who succeeds is the one who
buys me lunch. The actor who succeeds is the one who stays in the game.
Yeah, that persistence. I like that.
Okay. One word every creative needs to hear today.
Enough.
I was gonna say Megalika. I like yours way better.
Okay. Success begins when
you get out of the way.
Yeah.
Ooh. What's one perspective you'll never stop teaching?
Be so good they can't ignore you.
Steve Martin said that, and he now said it.
Yeah. We stole that from Steve Martin.
Yes, right. Okay, that's good. If your younger selves could see the lives you're helping today, what do you think would surprise them most?
I'm married.
My younger self would be like, you gave up engineering? And you're making how much money from acting?
I know.
right? Because that younger Matt would still be fixated on all the wrong things. But I also think he would be really surprised.
I love that. I love
That
that.
introverted version of me would be very surprised where I ended up.
Love it. Okay. Well, thank you guys so much. If someone watching tonight has been carrying a dream, but fear has convinced them they're not ready or they're not enough, what would you want them to know?
That they're not alone, but
that you're not alone. I mean, so much of the mental health in the world, right? And this is not new. I think it's just getting amplified with social media and stuff. Is that feeling of aloneness that only I am experiencing this thing,
Right.
also, I feel like something that we don't understand along with the mental health is that every time you audition, you are giving a piece of yourself. You are having a traumatic experience. And a lot of times we don't know how to close that loop. Joe Town talks a lot about that. We just kind of keep getting impacted, and we just move forward. We move forward and we don't actually allow ourselves to either thank ourselves for the work we've done, process what we've done, or gift ourselves in a way, like not necessarily go buy yourself a new car, but go take a nap.
Right.
have a sweet treat.
Yeah.
Go for a walk.
Listen to some music. Like do the thing that you think is scandalous.
QC time with self. Yes.
Yeah. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that person who is living in fear, who what they need first and foremost, I think, is someone safe in their life who can be considered a cheerleader. Who never judges their dream, who is only there to say yes to that dream. You do need other voices in your life, but I think that right where that person is, they need a cheerleader. They need someone who is there to go, no, keep going, keep going. And because that's usually the person missing from most people's teams is cheerleader, is the one who is non-judgmental, who is just there to lift them up and reinforce the path they're on.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say that, because it doesn't need to be a lot of people.
Right.
Smaller that group or that person is, that one person can simplify your entire journey.
Yeah.
Because when you add too many people to that group, it turns muddy.
Yep.
So before we close, is there anything we didn't ask you or anything your hearts would like to leave with our audience tonight?
I think we said a lot of
brilliant stuff.
Yeah, a lot of what's on our heart.
Yeah. No, I think you asked some really great questions.
Yeah, thank you for
gratitude.
Yeah.
And that word, gratitude, right?
Yeah.
We we'll maybe leave with this or kind of wrap up with this in terms of what we're offering. Something again that we learn. Joe Town.
Joe Town's great.
Check
Bring
should be in
him
the
on.
mail. Yeah. Joe, just send us $5. We keep referencing him, but we learned so much because mindset being so important. And one of the things that he mentioned, it's not unique to him. I've seen other sort of self-help books that reference this, but we end every night with by listing 3 things, and it's 3 points of gratitude or 3 highlights of the days. And boy, there are days it's so tough where she knows I'm in a bad mood, and we never go to bed angry at each other. That's another sort of piece of it. But we'll, right as like one of us is turning out the light, the other one will say 3 things. And like this will be on our 3 things tonight, this podcast. And it's a way to just, as you're drifting off to sleep, you're in a state of gratitude. And I think that is so important, especially in this world where, every news outlet will first hit you with the bad news. We need to stop and have some gratitude. So
yes,
we do that every night.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much. Well, Matt and Brooke, please tell everyone how they can stay connected with Get Taped. Share your websites. We know we have it scrolling, but it's even better when it comes directly from you, your workshops, the image process, your YouTube channel, and anything exciting you have coming up.
Great.
Yeah. On the socials like IG, Instagram, or we don't have TikTok, but on Instagram or and we have Facebook. It's not as active as Instagram. So Instagram or YouTube, if you were to search Get Taped, you'll find us. HowPeopleSeeYou.com will get you to our image process, because that's the core of what we're answering, is how people see you.
Get-taped.com is our basic overall, like you'll be able to find everything through that.
Yeah.
And if you want to email us personally, it would be matt@get-taped.com or brooke@get-taped.com.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we did talk about your younger self for a second. But if you could sit beside your younger self today, what would each of you tell young Brooke and young Matt?
You want to go first?
Not to sound like a Nike ad, but it would be, I would just say, do it. There's a few moments in my life, like actual tangible, snap decisions, where had I not said yes to something, the trajectory would have completely changed of my entire life. And that fear of being an introvert has stopped me from a lot of things, or delayed a lot of decisions. So I would just simply say, do it.
Yes.
As your younger self is talking to you.
No, the older self telling the younger self.
The older self is
What
telling
would you tell
my
20-year-old
young
Brooke?
20-year-old Brooke.
Or
Gosh,
whatever,
I'd say, girl, get it together. I would tell my younger self, don't be scared. Don't be scared.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I cannot wait to get my son Ashton in your classes, because this is going to be amazing. He will absolutely elevate even further than he has already, and I know that you two will be such great inspiration. So anyway, we'll talk about that later. But Matt and Brooke, gratitude again in abundance for sharing your time with us, sharing everything that you do. Tonight reminded us that fear isn't something experienced only by actors. It's something every human being encounters. Your work reminds us that confidence isn't found in getting every opportunity. It's discovered in knowing our worth before the opportunity ever arrives. Thank you for reminding us that the courage to be seen always begins by seeing ourselves first.
Yes. Thank you both. I love you dearly for reminding us that every meaningful journey begins long before success. It begins with one courageous decision to keep showing up, even when fear says otherwise. Tonight wasn't simply a conversation about acting. It was a conversation about becoming. And for that, we're grateful.
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of Infinite Perspectives. If tonight's conversation encouraged you, inspired you, or simply reminded you that your story matters, please like, share, subscribe, and invite someone else into the conversation.
Absolutely. Because every voice carries a perspective, and every perspective has the power to change a life. So until next time, continue becoming, continue walking in purpose, and never allow fear to convince you that your story isn't worth telling. This
is Infinite Perspectives, where voices become vision. Good night.
Good night. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks again, Matt and Brooke. We appreciate you both.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
How you gonna change the things around you? Oh, what you gonna love inside of you? Oh, When you gonna hear his revelation?